like in 1999, when Prime Minister Goh Chok Tong at the time had talked about the Singapore tribe, and he thought that if to be a strong sort of sense of identity, we needed to identify ourselves as a tribe. But he thought that to make a real tribe, it will be built only when we have gone through fire together. And I quote him, and remembering that time, it was 1999, he said, "The younger generation of Singaporeans have had no experience of hardship, let alone racial riots and external threats. Their lives have been mainly plain sailing. So their bonds to Singapore and the sense of service to the country is not as strong as the older generation." So at the time, he felt maybe the Singapore tribe wasn't quite as formed yet. But since 1999, we've had quite a lot
of excitement.
Right. So 4 years after that, it was SARS, right?
Yeah.
And then thereafter that, many things, subprime crisis, we had the longest drought in 150 years, and most recently, of course, COVID. So we have maybe not the same degree as the first generation of Singaporeans, but we will say, I mean, the last 25 years.
I think every generation will have your own crisis. Don't worry, it will come. I don't wish it upon you, but it will come whether you like it or not. And since 1965, when we became independent, which in itself was an existential crisis, which we went through and survived, we've had quite a few ups and downs, and we've gone through them together, and generally speaking, reasonably well. And as this historical memory builds, and the shared experience of having lived through it and endured it and come through is ingrained in our collective psyche, I think that sense of Singaporeanness, of a shared national identity, gradually strengthens. And in 1999 until now, as you said, we've had SARS, we've had the global financial crisis, 07, 08. We've had COVID. Now we've got superpower rivalry. We've got the US with President Trump and his administration taking a completely different approach to the world, which means very drastic implications in the long term for a small country like Singapore, which is completely dependent on globalization and international trade for making a living. I think I can say that the national identity is stronger, but at the same time, it is not the only tribe which we belong to, because we all have different layers to our identity. We are Singaporean, it's very important to us, but we are also Chinese Singaporean, or Malay Singaporean, or Indian Singaporean. We are also Christians, or Muslims, or Buddhists. You may be also have different political views. You may be pro-government, you may be pro-opposition. You may have different sexual orientations and therefore different circles of friends and different perspectives on the world. So these are all different layers to our identity which are always there. And I think if I'm honest about it, if we are honest about it, we'd say the national identity as a Singaporean, it's important, but it's not the only one we have. And for many Singaporeans, it is not the most important part of his identity. If you poll them, you will find for many Singaporeans, religion is a very important part of their identity, particularly for Muslims, particularly for Christians, and amongst the Christians, particularly amongst the non-Catholics. And there are other elements as well. Race is very important. Language is important, especially for the older generations. Younger ones all speak English, but even so, if the PM does a National Day rally and doesn't speak in Malay or Chinese, I think everybody will feel a sense of loss. So these are all other aspects, and we must know that, because we are one people, but that people, we're not all identical, and there are fault lines which you have to guard.